those are meeting images of the bilateral meeting. There it is on your screen right now. First images of Prime Minister Modi and American President Joe Biden meeting each other at this private dinner. We'll just let these images play out. The videographers trying their best to take artistic images. Interesting. Usually you'd have them presented just very professionally, business-like, from one image to the other. Now you got them moving around the diyas, moving around from a low camera angle to a higher angle. So and obviously this is being edited and produced in the manner in which that it's being put out. Prime Minister Modi, they're meeting Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, and Sushant, it's interesting the number of high-level ministers, secretaries from Washington who've traveled with the Prime Minister for this meeting. You see there Eric Garcetti, he was with his daughter Maya at the airport welcoming Joe Biden. On the Indian side, I see Dr. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister. We saw Ajit Doval, who was also at the White House when the meeting was taking place. That's Jack Sullivan on your screen right now. I see Vinay Quatra, Foreign Secretary. We see Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor, and Dr. Jaishankar, the Indian External Affairs Minister and a very trusted aide of Prime Minister Modi. Geeta Mohan is with us. Geeta, we're seeing these images of the Prime Minister's residence, very tastefully done up. It's very interesting that he's doing all these bilaterals one after another here. He had the Mauritian Prime Minister in the morning, he had Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh after that. Now for dinner, he's got President Joe Biden over here. The significance of the Predator drones and the fact that at this moment, very close to the line of actual control, Sushant, we have these exercises taking place where the Indian Air Force has its air assets deployed and engaged.
Yeah, but also remember that the Pakistanis and the Chinese are also having a joint exercise in almost the same area. So I think a part of this exercise is a defensive maneuver. Part of it is a messaging. So it's, I think, multiple things. And of course, we'll be testing our own doctrines and our own, whatever plans. I think all of that would be tested. But on, I'm not very sure what is likely to. I think a lot of it will focus on the G20 and coming out with some substantive, issues being tackled in the G20. I think, of course, both principals from India and the United States are going to talk about the bilateral relationship, maybe smoothen out some of the rougher edges which might be coming into some of the deals that are being worked out, maybe plug in for a few more, new issues. But is there going to be a big bang kind of an announcement? I don't know. I'm not sure. There is some talk that there could be an announcement of India,
link
US,
that's
South
being
Arabia,
built.
and the UAE
The fact that as a counter to what China has been doing with the Belt and Road Initiative, the idea that we'll have this rail link to the Gulf funded by the US, which creates for better public infrastructure. How significant do you see that announcement as being?
I think it's very important because I think that is something which India has been pushing for, not just in the context of the Middle East, but also in the context of Africa. And it's not just with the United States, although I think the US has also understood how important this is. And there is that initiative which the Americans have also come out with. They need to put some more meat into that initiative. But India and Japan have been talking about joint projects in Africa to rival the Chinese projects, and to not only rival them, but to make projects which are sustainable, which are not white elephant projects like the Chinese have made, which are not projects which saddle people with debts that they can't repay. So I think a sustainable kind of projects are being proposed by India. I think the other countries in the region of the Quad, for example, but also of I2U2 are also coming together in some of these projects. If you have a connectivity project in the Middle East, I think it can prove to be a major game changer. Now, does it really rival? Frankly, I don't see much sense in some of these land connectivity projects. The Chinese are free to do whatever silliness they want to do by setting up a train from Beijing to Madrid. Fat lot of good it does. It doesn't really help you economically. It does not serve any real purpose. But they want to do it because it's some kind of prestigious project for somebody who thinks he's some kind of an emperor of the world. He's welcome to it. But other than that, the most economical route remains the sea route. The sea routes are functioning very well. India is becoming a major player in, for example, the ports area. So I think there is a lot going for India going forward, and we are making that pitch. And why not? But I think some of the new alliances which we are striking are very exciting, especially in the Middle East, especially with the UAE and with Saudi Arabia. These are two very, very important countries. And I think all credit to Mr. Modi. We had ignored this region, even though we had very close, economic and other ties with this region. But at the political level, we had virtually given it a kind of a passover. It was like almost like a walkover we had given to Pakistan and some of these other countries. Mr. Modi has stopped that. We made a big pitch, and the results are before us. Look at the kind of investments that are flowing in. Look at the kind of political relationship that we are striking with not just the UAE, but most importantly, Saudi Arabia. And look at the kind of revolutionary changes that these visionary leaders in Saudi Arabia and the UAE are bringing about. MBS, for example, the kind of stuff he's doing in Saudi Arabia is unimaginable a couple of years back. Similarly, in the UAE, the royal family under the leadership of MBZ has done fabulous things out there. So I think these are people who can be beacons in the Islamic world, who are important magnets in the regional context. And these are people we need to cultivate.
I want to go across to the Bharat Mandapam, where we've got Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs Editor, joining us. Geeta, do you want to give our viewers a sense for the preparation of the preparations for tomorrow, which is where one after another we'll have these 3 sessions, to give our viewers a sense of what to expect tomorrow?
Well, as opposed to the idea of what China is doing, Rahul, India has made it very clear that Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is going to be the idea that India is going to lead with. So in terms of the opposition that we've seen of China in the documents, you're going to see the 3 sessions on day 1 and day 2, which actually signify Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. The first session is called One Earth. The second session is called One Family, and the concluding session on the second day of the summit is called One Future. So all the conversations will revolve around One Earth, One Family and One Future. Clearly a message to China, irrespective of all the opposition on the language in the joint document. It seems like conversations in the room will revolve around Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam.